Hi there, my name is Xavier Calendar, and this is a presentation highlighting a comparison of the definition of gender and gender roles between First Nation communities and the wider Western society. Now, gender and gender roles have been an integral part of human society since the beginning of time. While gender is a universal concept, its interpretation and expression varies across cultures. This report aims to compare and contrast the understanding and expression of gender and gender roles between the two societies. For the purposes of this report, the term First Nations societies refers to the indigenous communities of North America, while Western culture pertains to the cultural norms and practices of Western societies. Is that, so, what exactly is gender? According to the World Health Organization, gender can be defined as the characteristics of human beings that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, man, girl, or boy, as well as relationships with each other. According to the World Health Organization, Western culture has traditionally followed a binary understanding of gender, with men and women having defined roles based on their biological sex. Contrast to this, however, First Nations societies have a more fluid and adaptable view of gender roles compared to Western culture's more rigid and binary understanding of gender. First Nations communities view gender as a spectrum rather than a binary construct that encompasses a range of identities, roles, and responsibilities. These identities may include male, female, two spirit, and other gender identities that do not fit into Western gender norms. Two Spirit is a term that was coined in 1990 by Native American activists to describe indigenous people who identify as both male and female, or who have a gender identity that is different from their assigned sex at birth. Now, moving on. In First Nations communities, gender roles are often assigned and reinforced from a young age through cultural practices and traditions that reflect the values and priorities of the community. These gender roles may be based in part on the child's biological sex or may reflect their gender identity and cultural heritage. For example, in some communities, boys may be encouraged to develop leadership and physical skills, while girls may be encouraged to develop nurturing and caretaking skills. These gender roles reflect the importance of balance and harmony within the community and are often reinforced through cultural practices such as storytelling, song, and dance. In contrast, Western societies often assign gender roles based on biological sex with fixed expectations for behavior, appearance, and interests. Boys are often encouraged to be strong, assertive, and competitive, while girls are encouraged to be nurturing, emotional, and focused on relationships. These gender roles are often reinforced through media, advertising, and social expectations, and can limit an individual's abilities to express themselves and pursue their interests. The Western view of gender is often tied to biology, with gender roles and expectations being based on the idea that males and females have inherently different traits and abilities. Western culture has historically had a more patriarchal view of gender roles, with men being seen as the primary providers and leaders of the family and society. Women, on the other hand, have been expected to prioritize domestic duties and child rearing. In contrast, many First Nations cultures have traditionally placed equal value on the contributions of both men and women. Both genders have played important roles in the community, with men often responsible for hunting and providing, and women playing important roles in nurturing and caring for the community. First Nations cultures have also prioritized the importance of a community and collective well being over individual achievement. This means that gender roles are often viewed through the lens of community needs rather than individual desires and preferences. First Nations societies have also been historically subjected to colonialization, which has had significant impacts on gender and gender roles. Western ideas about gender and sexuality were often imposed on indigenous communities, leading to the suppression of traditional gender identities and the marginalization of persons, such as those who identify as two spirit individuals. Now, the two-spirit identity is a term used by some indigenous communities to describe individuals who identify as having both male and female spirits or occupying a gender role that is distinct from male or female. This identity is not a modern concept but has been part of indigenous cultures for centuries, with different names and practices across different communities. This term has since been adopted by many indigenous people as a way to reclaim and celebrate their traditional gender identities and sexuality. In many indigenous communities, two-spirit individuals were respected and held positions of honor, often serving as mediators, healers, and spiritual leaders. These individuals were believed to have a unique perspective on life, as they were thought to embody both male and female energy, giving them a heightened ability to understand and connect with others. The roles of two-spirit individuals varied across different communities. For example, in some communities, they were viewed as mediators between men and women, helping to resolve conflicts and maintain harmony. In others, they were believed to have the power to communicate with the spirit world and were therefore entrusted with important spiritual roles. Despite the acceptance of two-spirit individuals in many indigenous communities, colonialization and Western influences have led to the suppression of this identity. Western ideas about gender and sexuality were imposed on indigenous communities, leading to the marginalization and oppression of two-spirit individuals. However, in recent years, there has been a resurgence of the two-spirit movement, which seeks to reclaim and celebrate traditional indigenous gender identities and sexuality. This movement aims to promote acceptance and celebrate the diversity of two-spirit identities and to challenge the marginalization and oppression of two-spirit individuals. In summary, gender and gender roles in First Nations societies are diverse and complex, often reflecting the cultural and ecological demands of the community. Traditional gender identities in these societies have often been more fluid and diverse than the binary understanding of gender in Western societies. I hope you enjoyed listening to my presentation today and thank you for your time.